The warehouse is open. Tales from the Warehouse Volume 34. It is a 2024 MeiGray Expo Primer. Pleased to be joined by Stu Oxenhorn, director of MeiGray Vintage. Stu, welcome back. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, great. Great to be here and see you again.
It's always good to see your face again on these podcasts. Stu, you have been around, no age jokes. You have
Mm,
worked or attended all 19 MeiGray Expos in your career. And you and I have talked about these at the Expos. You have told me Friday night stories about just showing up, setting up, and there's a six-pack of birch beer or something like that, just to sort of, and it only adds to the fun or the lore. We'll get to those stories in a bit. But tell me how you've seen the event grow and change over the years, because it has grown immensely, and that's a credit to you guys.
yeah, I think it's definitely grown. I mean, we've gotten, a lot more collectors, a little more variety of collectors, especially in the last few years. But the one thing I like, and the one thing I try to do is actually keep that consistency of what the expo is and, why we started it. I mean, the big thing about our expo is it's really just that place for collectors to come together, to meet each other, to network, to get to know each other and form those relationships that help you in this hobby. And whether it's with a MeiGray employee or just another collector. And for me and trying to do what we do is that's the important thing. So it's not just the growth, but it's that consistency of giving the collectors what they want in that regard, is that place where they can come talk about the hobby, talk about jerseys, that safe place where someone's not looking at you. You collect used clothing, and that place to come and feel a part of a community.
It's morphed, it's adapted, but its soul remains a connecting place. And I've had the good fortune to be with you at more than several of these. And I, not blowing smoke, although, who knows, and that may be lovely here. I don't, it's not changed. Like, as much as it has grown with the times, the soul is about the connection and about the collector and about the displays. And it's like the recipe is simplicity, I think, is probably the best way to put it, but not oversimplifying that. You want to see sweaters? Great. You want to talk about sweaters? Great. You want to meet friends you haven't met yet? Great. That's what the MeiGray is. That MeiGray Expo is there. And those things always seem to happen come hell or high water.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We try to, when I put the displays together, I try to put things together in relationship to our guests, but also, try to put things together that people haven't seen before. That unless you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, you're not going to see this. And, one of the things that has been that consistency is actually bringing the Hockey Hall of Fame to every show and bringing those items that are those Hall of Fame caliber items that they bring that, give collectors the chance to see things that they wouldn't normally see. And, we try to do the same thing with our displays and our guests, just try to bring in a guest that's going to be interesting, that, can talk well about any subject in the hobby and during their playing careers. So, I mean, that's what we really strive to do.
It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 34, a 2024 MeiGray Expo Primer. The Expo, if you're plan on going, July 13th, Raritan Valley Community College in Branchburg, New Jersey. It is an overwhelmingly awesome time, and not overwhelmingly in anxiety inducing, just overwhelmingly cool. And even if you're new to the hobby, if you are a veteran of the hobby, if you are in between newbie and veteran, everybody is welcome. And Stu used the phrase safe space. I can attest. It is a very safe space to go and to talk. When does something like this start as far as the planning stage? And again, you've worked or attended all 19 of these. When did you start? When did you crack the first egg for this one?
Usually about 6 months out, we start to put it together. I'll reach out to the college and try to and figure out the dates that we have available to us. Um, just at that point, we'll start kicking ideas about guests. Once we have the ideas about the guest, a lot of time that's when the displays come in, because we do like to tailor the displays to the guest a little. So we'll start to do that. And once the displays come in, the Hockey Hall of Fame, again, same thing. We like to sort of tailor their display to our guest or what we're doing. So, I'll reach out to them, give them the heads up, and then it's, putting the collector tables together and, just trying to make sure we don't have, we try to mix it up a bit. And then it's, the cleaning of the warehouse and all that stuff, getting
So,
ready to
so,
go.
so suffice to say, there is an immense amount of work, and I don't think people truly appreciate. They appreciate the expo, but they may not appreciate exactly what goes into this. Is there something that you look forward to behind the scenes every year, and you go, I still love doing this almost 2 decades into the process? And is there something, on the opposite end where you go, oh no, I got to deal with this again. And then you chuckle about it because it all leads to a really, really good time for a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess, for me, it's putting the displays together. I love trying to come up with the ideas for the displays, even though it frustrates me to no end sometimes. Because you come up with something and you're like, okay, I have this jersey, this jersey, this jersey, but I don't have one of these. So but it's coming up with the displays, creating the displays and what we're going to show. As for frustrating, uh not too much at this point. I mean, even setting up, which is a pain, um, is sort of fun because a couple guys will come over and it's still not bad. There's nothing really that frustrating for me. I think for others like Joe Manley, who's got to clean that warehouse, maybe he may have a different opinion.
Totally understandable. You and I have talked about the Friday night fun before the Saturday. And again, this year it's July 13th, Raritan Valley Community College. Be there, be there, be there, because again, it's just hard to do it justice. They've been doing this for almost 20 years now. This is MeiGray Expo number 19, and they've certainly got the recipe right. We mentioned the recipe: simplicity, connection, the hobby is forefront. But as far as the Friday night fun setting up, it's a chance for you to crack the whip, get the work done, Stu, but then also kick back and go, man, we're doing this again. I'm sure there's pride in building this.
Oh, definitely. Just getting the collectors together and seeing how they're interacting and they're talking, and just seeing people that you see once a year basically at this expo. It's a lot of fun to catch up with people you've met in the past. And I think for all collectors, it's just Mike Hogan has his event the night before, where a lot of collectors will get together, a day before the show, and it's a little time to do some wheeling dealing before the show for collectors, and also again just catching up with people. So, and it's about that community. It's about the relationships and that you forge through the years. Even with me and you, it's not like we're talking to each other all the time, but we met at an expo, and when we see each other at an expo or wherever at this point, it's like we are best friends. We just go right into it, and I think that's a lot of what it's about. And being able to be a part of that, to be able to bring people together like that, as it's one of the things in this hobby that I'm really proud that we've been able to do.
You mentioned the amazing Hockey Hall of Fame display, which has become a stalwart. Aside from the Masters, it truly is a tradition unlike any other, that Toronto comes to New Jersey and shows off a ridiculous setup that you can go and you can feel in the tangible sense hockey history. And we're talking about things that you have no idea what they're going to bring. I mean, you guys know, and they may say, you know what, we're going to bring a couple surprises. It's always gorgeous. What else is part of what's new? What's, I don't even want to say old, but there's a consistency. And whether it's the grab bag or whether it's the MeiGray displays that you talked about, that there's so much love and care. I know I always bring them up because I love them. Stuff from the personal collection of the good folks that work at MeiGray. Hey, here's some really cool stuff that I've never seen before because it's been in your closet or so-and-so's closet or what have you. Talk to me about what features we can look for this year, and include the Hockey Hall of Fame because they deserve a lot of praise.
Well, I'll tell one Hockey Hall of Fame story, which um, they brought a Gretzky display one year, and they had a Gretzky Kings just laid out on the table, and I wasn't really paying attention too much to what the jerseys were, but like I always do, I want to see how something, what season it is, how something's tagged. Just took a little peek inside, picked it up, and I'm looking at it, and inside is 802 is written in there, so that was goal 802. you know, so. But yeah, we will work with them this year. John LeClair is our guest. So they are going to bring US born players jerseys. So that'll be what they're going to bring. As for, the grab bag, I mean, that's another thing that we work on that is, we try to work on, and it takes time. That's something that does take time, so we get it right, especially with the draft. We want everybody to be able to get a good jersey. So, going through what we have to try to make that a success. And I think we did a really good job this year with, 10 really good jerseys that people have a chance to get. For other displays for us, it's the same thing. It's just, I think I'm going to do, and I haven't thought it out totally yet, but for the Flyers, since we're bringing in LeClair, he's one of the Flyers all-time leaders in a lot of categories. And I may just get like the top 10 goal scorers in Flyers history together, something like that.
No, because that's not impressive at all, Stu. That's keep going. I'm quite jealous already.
I mean, we'll do a vintage display, like we always do.
Mm-hmm.
We are probably going to have a MeiGray authenticated display. And there are other differences this year is there is no charge for anybody this year. So anybody can take a table, anybody can do what they want. Normally we tried to, in the past, trying to make it fair between collectors and dealers, try to make everything, you know, and trying to make it fair in the past where collectors and dealers where dealers would get better spaces, stuff like that. And make it so dealers could sell without competition from collectors. But now we're just finding we're going to try to, open the room up to everybody. Anybody can sell, buy, collect, whatever they want to do, trade, and there are no costs to anybody attending. The other thing that that you'll see is there are going to be more collector tables. I've taken a little bit of space away from MeiGray's display to bring in a few more collectors. We had a really, really strong response for collector tables this year. So we're going to give the collectors a little bit more space.
You mentioned Mr. LeClair as the featured guest. You are a long time Flyers fan. You got any favorite moments of number 10?
I can't say I have any specific moments, but he was at least for me, I mean, it's not like even when the Flyers missed the playoffs for 5 straight years, it's not like I wasn't a Flyer fan anymore. But that team, they were kind of boring. They weren't exciting to watch. And I think when, then Lindros came in, and Lindros in his first year with Recchi, that north-south game going, up and down was exciting to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think, it made the Flyers, watchable again and relevant. But the big difference was when they got LeClair and Desjardins. And let's not forget Gilbert Dion, but
of course, yes,
LeClair
one of the young guns in the upper deck set, by the way. I think Gilbert Dion, right? Wasn't he? He was like yes, one of those all rookie guys on the card.
But
the stuff we remember. Sorry.
So LeClair and Lindros together, just what I'll always take from LeClair's career is the cycling that they did, just that power game, the cycling, his slap shot. I think he had 4 goals in a game against Vancouver. 3 straight 50-goal seasons. I think the first American player to do that. It was just that power game of his, that slap shot. And the cycling was just, you just didn't see anything like that. Not only did you have that north south, but now you got that east west, and um, that cycling was a lot of fun. That cycling was fun to watch, and it really, you couldn't miss a game at that point,
It's
or you'd
funny. I
miss
know
something.
we just, well, it's been 26 years now since the Capitals were swept by the Detroit Red Wings. Easy for me to say, in 1998. But a key to that success and that time was, everybody's, oh yeah, tell me about Kolzig and Simon, and Brian Bellows was part of that 98 Caps team and what have you. And they had some good players. They had Joey Junot, who had, memorable goal and what have you. But the thrill for a lot of Caps fans was the cycling guys: Steve Konowalchuk, Ulf Dahlen, and Jeff Halpern, homegrown product here from just outside of DC. And those were the guys, that line, the Konowalchuk line, they were the guys that really, people just appreciated them. And there were goals scored, and Halpern was and still is a popular local guy. Steve Konowalchuk will go down as quite the popular Cap. But just to watch those guys work, and the cycling, LeClair scored a lot more goals than Konowalchuk, Halpern, and Dahlen. And I'm glad to see we're exciting the crowd. But he scored more goals than all those combined, Stu. So it was all good. I liked. There's an appreciation for guys like that, definitely,
Oh
and
yeah.
the physical style. And you mentioned Desjardins coming aboard, and I miss having one of his in my collection. He was a glue guy, and then some. So but Leclerc's going to be there, as is always the case, talking to the crowd, addressing and what have you. Any hint as to what he wants to chat about? I don't know. And some of these guys that come in, they're not the biggest hobby guys, but they leave going, "Damn, this is really cool." So sometimes it's a pleasant surprise when they leave, and they're going to see American players, and he's going to see his own sweaters in this room, I'm sure. They may not be holding that appreciation when they come into the room, but they may have it when they leave.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we see that a lot. Leclaire is not a hobby guy. A lot of times we try to bring in those guys that, are more hobby guys, but he's not. And but I think he's going to come in. I mean, well, a lot of what he'll talk about is, it's a Q&A. So, collectors will get to ask their questions and see where those questions go. But yeah, I'm sure, he's going to talk about his two overtime game-winning goals, against the LA Kings when Montreal won the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he'll talk about the run with the Flyers to the Stanley Cup. And, actually, I'd like to hear what he has to say about the current Flyers team. I mean, recently he's been, hired by the Flyers, and he's working with the Flyers again as a consultant in hockey ops. So I'd love to hear what he has to say about the, state of the current team and where he thinks they're going, especially with Matvei Michkov coming over and getting his insight on that.
Saw that the other day on social media. Lots of excitement from my friends back in Philadelphia. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 34, talking to Director of MeiGray Vintage, our friend Stu Oxenhorn. It is a 2024 MeiGray Expo Primer. The expo comes up July 13th at Raritan Valley Community College. Tables are all free, dealers, collectors, and tons of stuff that you are going to be just amazed when you see. Also, quick reminder, fantastic inaugural season, and the auctions continue for the PWHL. MeiGrayAuctions.com. Go there, bid, enjoy. Great wear, great sweaters, and it's a one-off style because the teams will do their own branding, and it won't just be cities. There will be names attached and all this other really cool stuff in the future. So we talked to Dave Mizell a couple of weeks ago, who described these pieces as timeless because they are really a one-off. Things will change next year, and they'll still be awesome, but they won't be the inaugural season. And some of these were used in the first game ever in league history, and all that other good stuff. And you can check out the details and great photos. A lot of them photo matched, which is pretty awesome as well. Auctions at MeiGrayAuctions.com. Stu, you and I have discussed this same question over and over, but I never get tired of hearing your stories, whether it is a meetup or a golf tournament or a Friday night setup or a Friday night shindig, or pieces that you've seen or stumbled upon, like that Gretzky with the 802nd goal, courtesy of the Hall of Fame. There were also so many transactions, swaps, purchases, and what have you. And the grab bag always has the draft where people are trading picks and really cool things, and great guests through the years, not nameless, name your favorite name, like Chico Resch or many others through the years, that guys just stand out, and they seem to have a really good time. Anything stick out as you approach a 20th you have worked or attended, 19 so far? Anything that as we approach this one, that, what, there's a moment I haven't thought about in a long time, but it still makes me very, very happy.
I mean, just as a guest, I think the person that stands out the most to me was Craig Berube. I mean, he was the coach of the Flyers at the time, and I just found that he was just so open, in talking about what he was talking about. He didn't hold back too much, and it took me by a little surprise of him, sort of calling out a few players and you're sort of saying it like it is. And I thought that was a very interesting talk. Um, Other things, you go back to that golf tournament. I know it keeps coming up, but that was a good time that we had. For I think 3 years, we held the Bass Open, named after Rafi Bass,
who is still
and
with us, thank God, and that's a lovely thing. Yes.
yes, and that was always fun to get together the night before, 30 or so people playing mini
Mm-hmm.
golf and having a bite to eat afterwards. And I guess one of the displays that we put together, we took someone's collection. It was a 500. It was not Rafi, but it was a 500 goal display, where at the time we had every 500 goal scorer. Although I do think probably half that collection was Rafi's at one time.
Yes.
But having that 500 goal collection, I thought was really cool. It took up like the entire length of the room, and I mean that was pretty special.
Superb time
Having
ahead.
yeah, the Hall of Fame brought one of Jim Craig's masks from the Olympics. That was really cool. Stuff like that is what sticks with me.
Without a doubt. If there's, and I know the easy answer is, I just want everybody to have a good time, and to, if it's possible, go home with a friend or a new connection that you haven't had yet. And that's probably your wish for every single expo. Is there anything else you want to come from July 13th as we approach?
Just yeah, that's it. I mean, the consistency of what we've done. Just I want it to be like all the others. I want it to, I mean, I think they've, been very successful. I think, the thing that we really strive for is creating those connections in the hobby, whether it's a connection between, even collectors, but also connections with our staff. I think one of the things that really helps, I mean, collecting these jerseys is not, it's not necessarily cheap. They're a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars, but when you have that connection with the person you're dealing with on the phone, I think that really helps, especially for our staff, to know, what the collectors are looking for, what a specific collector is looking for. To know what your, collecting tendencies are helps us when a shirt comes in, and, to offer it, and to get to know what people are looking for, and to help make this, people are always asking us, should I get this or this? So getting those connections, that one-on-one live FaceTime, helps when we're put in that spot, and we may know that collector a little better to know what they are going to want. So I think it's those kind of connections that are really important, that really keep these expos going on.
Absolutely. And again, without sounding like I am blowing smoke, I think that I'll speak for consumers, because I am a consumer of the MeiGray product. I think it's a really great reflection on you all that the staff is so involved, and so many are present on that Saturday. Again, this year, July 13th, Raritan Valley Community College. Contact Stu with any questions. free tables this year for both dealer and collector alike. But the fact that everybody is so involved from either, and they're present at the expo or at the summer sale, obviously, which follows up. We didn't even mention the summer sale, but massive part of every sweater collector's buying calendar to get the details and to pre-plan, but they're available and you put a name with the face, and it helps the consumer to business relationship, and it certainly helps with the business to consumer relationship because you all get to place a face with the name, and there's a laugh shared or a bottled water on a 90-degree day shared. And hey, I get to go into the MeiGray warehouse, which is a part that we should probably do another podcast on. But going into there, if you have not been, you go to the expo, then you go to MeiGray, which is like the Mecca. And you mentioned Joe Manley and the cleaning of the warehouse, but it is such an important part of the day, Stu, that I was there taking footage and just watching happy people. And oh my gosh, look at this. Look at all these sweaters and just and people grabbing and in a polite fashion. And you just get to hold up something and look into the sun and go, man, there's a lot of wear in that shoulder. There's a lot of wear in that elbow. There are many repairs down near that hem. It's a really important part of the day too. That's the cherry on top of an amazing Sunday of a really cool weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I walk in there every day, and I'm still at times overwhelmed. I mean, it's still like, every once in a while, I will take a little sneak peek looking through that flyer rack. It still, holds something special even to me, who just, walks through every day. It is still a little overwhelming, and it's hurt my wallet a bit, but that's okay.
In the best
Um,
possible way. I get it. I get it.
yeah, definitely. And but yeah, it's just that, again, those just that's a good time to meet and talk to the migraine employees as well. Is afterwards it's a little quieter, settling down, but be a little understanding that we want to get out of there. It's been a long day. Um,
Of, of course,
but
everybody understands. And I'm sure that people want to make their purchases and then also get home to enjoy them or get back to the hotel if you're staying in town or what have you. It's fantastic. Details to come on the summer sale. If you have any questions with regard to the MeiGray Expo upcoming, again, July 13th, Stu hopes to see you there. It is a day unlike any other. And then the summer sale takes part. This one will be not, the summer sale will be at MeiGray. Summer sale will be at MeiGray. The expo itself will be, of course, at the Raritan Valley Community College, where it has been so many of these years. And again, quick reminder, check out the PWHL ongoing auctions at MeiGrayAuctions.com. Olympians, world-class players, fantastic players from the inaugural season, and the jerseys are gorgeous. Stu, my friend, until next time, we appreciate your time. The warehouse is closed.